Good afternoon. I am Barbara Foushee. I serve as the mayor for the town of Carrboro. All right. I love the love. I love the love. It is still Black History Month, and we're still celebrating here in the town of Carrboro. I did want to take a moment and acknowledge one of my colleagues and one of his children over in the corner. Councilmember Palmer is here celebrating with us, and so just really excited to have him here, Councilmember Palmer. And I also want to shout out our Parks and Rec staff and all other town staff who work tirelessly to bring these events to the community, not just during Black History Month, but all year long. So let's give them a big round of applause for what they do. So this is our second installment of our Black History Month concert series. But today we have a special treat for you. As you may have already experienced through the immersive activities around the room, United Strings of Color is with us this afternoon. But before I introduce you to them, I would like to bring out the bacillus of Eta Phi Zeta chapter of Zeta. Oh, let me start that over again. Eta Phi Zeta chapter of the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Madam Bacillus Kimberly Baldwin would like to come forward to share some information with you about our organization, because I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, while I'm at the microphone. And so all our sorors are coming forth. Madam Bacillus, the microphone is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We are Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Eta Phi Zeta chapter, and we serve the Chapel Hill, Carrboro, Orange County area. We are so excited to be here with you all today, especially during this Black History Month, to celebrate local talent here in this area. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated was founded on the campus of an historically Black university, Howard University, on January 16th, 1920. Our founders sought to establish a sisterhood that would address the societal issues of that day. We were founded on scholarship, service, sisterhood, and finer womanhood. The Eta Phi Zeta chapter, we were chartered, as I stated, in the Chapel Hill, Carrboro, and Orange County area on July 19th, 1974. So we have been serving this community for 51 years this year. So once again, we're so excited to be here today. Music is something we hold dear to us because actually one of our founders, Founder Pearl Ann Neal, who's actually from Charlotte, was a very talented musician. She studied at Juilliard, and she also taught in the public school system here, and also was a music director at Teachers College in Winston-Salem, which is now Winston-Salem State. She was also the first Black woman to obtain a music degree in New York from Columbia University. So we are very proud about that. We also have another number of firsts. We were the first organization to charter a chapter in Africa, the first organization to centralize our headquarters in Washington, D.C. We were the first to establish auxiliaries. We have youth, we have women, and also men who work with us. And we were the first to be constitutionally bound to a brotherhood fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And we share the colors royal blue and white. So once again, we're just so excited to be here with you today. We invite you to check us out online at z5b1920.org. We're also, our local chapter, you can find us at chapelhillzetas.org and Chapel Hill Zetas on most social media platforms. But if you'd like to know more about us today, check us out at our table. We would love to get to know you and talk to you a little bit more. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the program.
don't know, I got my chest stuck out, my saras. Stick it out a little bit. Thank you so much, Madam Basilis, for that great introduction. So now I want to do an introduction for United Strings of Color. They will be presenting to us today. Conversations between 4 black abolitionist music makers, Ignatius Sancho, Joseph Bologne, Solomon Northrup, and someone you may be very familiar with, Frederick Douglass. Imagine the conversations Ignatius, Joseph, Chevalier de St. George, Solomon, and Frederick Douglass would have if they could have met. These amazing change makers were all musically gifted and affected the dominant thought of their day. Conversations between 4 black music makers who helped bring about abolition will invite a very thoughtful consideration of black history as it has either been remembered or generally forgotten or hidden away, and explore some of the reasons why. Through an immersive experience, which you experienced earlier, of black history using music, theater, and mixed media arts, you, the audience, will learn about the lives, countries, times, systemic laws, and iconic contributions of these amazing people. Pre-show interactive immersive activities have taken place in the lobby at the showtime that was listed, with the theatrical production beginning now. Throughout the production, United Strings of Color groups will play music either composed by the historical figures themselves, associated with them in historical documentation, or of the era in which they lived. Following the formal presentation, the audience will be invited to converse with our musical black abolitionists and engage further in the discoveries the production uncovers. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We about to blast off, baby! Let's do it.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Yes, no justice, no peace. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm coming, girl. I'm coming. Hey, I know. It's mad out there. Just cannot believe it. Can you?
No, girl, I can't. Let's just breathe. Let's take a second. Inhale, exhale. Okay. And oddly enough, it's our Black History Month program kickoff today, too. Girl, okay. So I'm gonna cue you in 3, 2, 1, and then we're dropping in Dr. Martin, okay?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Wait, no, not Martin again. Christy, have you seen those protesters out there? I just cannot believe it.
Yeah. And I saw them. It's okay. I know it's crazy. But remember, we discussed just picking up our pace by serving our audience, being more relevant, picking up our pace,
Yeah, but...
No, because we talked about creating relevant content, ongoing and stacking it. Besides, girl, we always do Dr. Martin Luther King for our Black History Month programs. Anyway, let me work on this cue, because I don't have time.
I have a dream.
Goodness.
There he is. He is our advocate for all reasons and seasons of injustice. Okay, so there's your coffee. The audience is filling up, and...
Right. And aren't you tired, Christy? I mean, it's 2025 with the same injustices of 1968. I'm tired. I'm fed up, Christy. Dr. King's legacy deserves way better than this. This is not the dream I think he meant. I wish he could rest and we could rest.
Wait a minute, girl. Okay. Look. So I know that things are a little crazy outside, but I'm starting to think that it's a little bit more compounded than what's actually going on outside. Let me ask you something while I get this straight. Have you heard anything from the doctor's office yet?
No, not yet.
So let's try not to assume, okay? Because it really might be nothing.
Yeah, you're right. You mind taking your niece and nephew for auntie time today? Just take them to rehearsal or something for me?
You know I'm super auntie, girl. I do not mind taking my babies out. You know what? Why don't you take a nap? Because I feel like you haven't gotten any rest since... Anyway, 3, 2, 1, and then...
It's got to be here. Got to be.
What is it now, girl?
I bet it is. I bet it is.
What's there? Your notes, they're literally right here. Your coffee, your notes. I try to think of everything. Megan, are you even listening to me?
Okay, you know what? Maybe it's me. But you ever notice how all throughout history, like clockwork, whenever there's some riot or social injustice going on in the Black community, some rich white person is on another channel in a spacesuit, waiting for a countdown to blast off into space somewhere, looking for Mars, flying up into the great unknown. Look, it's right here. I told you.
Okay, so this is a crazy, but it's a true observation that you made. But I feel like you've been up late at night watching those, Twilight Zone marathons too? You have been, haven't you?
So, Black girls like science too. Like, I just can't help that this hypothesis just happens to be true. See, it happened when Dr. King was killed, assassinated. And then when George Floyd was killed in the streets in 2020. Like, I don't know. What's gonna happen to those poor aliens out there if these earthly space people ever find them? Because really, if they treat the unknown humanity like they treat the known humanity, them aliens are like, peekaboo, we're hiding, see how foul you do you. Leave us alone, stay unknown.
Okay, sis, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Right. Because America, hell, the world has a lot to answer for forced treatment of Black people. I mean, is violence and prejudice all we want to be known for as a country?
You know what? I think that's a good segue, sis. Cueing you in now in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, my people? Welcome to the There's Nothing New Under the Sun podcast show. It's your girl, Dr. Megan Matthews, and Christy bringing you another Black History Month celebration. Or is it, fam? Look, I just saw the news. Ran through some protesters trying to get up in here, and what can I say, y'all? Again?
I have a dream.
Say we shall overcome. Say it. We shall overcome. Megan.
Right, friends. We shall overcome, because that's just what we do. We overcome. Ow, what? I said it.
Mean it.
Your bad self. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. If that's your brother, hug your brother. If that's your sister, you got to protect your sister. And remember, Black is beautiful, baby. The best. It's like brown gold. Ow! Wear it proud. Show the world you are wealthy with a heartbeat. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I can't hear you. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. One more time. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it to the man straight. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Ow!
History completes and projects the future. So if you don't understand the way of the journey or where you've been, how can you count what people may refer to as progress or success? Ugh.
Who's considered the main character of this reference anyway?
And who is considered the beholder? What have you really from the storyteller?
I
I say write your own story. A beholder that may refer to what they may see as progress may not at all understand that they, in fact, are experiencing a Groundhog Day.
An experience which is akin to going around in circles, like an episode of The Twilight Zone.
And when the world wins, when the talking, promising, and legislating, you're done.
Like a board of chess after all the pawns have been played.
The move you make the game of life move you forward
Or move you back. And are you stuck in a stuck place? Have you studied the board previously or the strategies of before?
Or did you rely on sound bites or assume that the chessboard was a whole new invention? Cause that would be ignorant.
I say, write your own story to own both the board and be the main character again.
Proud to own your truth for always, not just for seasons. If there's a conductor, not talking of the Underground Railroad, but of creation, you know that Moses, better known as Harriet Tubman, made it known past the writings of books down in her spirit.
That you are special, unique, fearfully, and wonderfully made.
Undeserving of a history erasure or a history of unmarked graves.
Has to imply
that your humanity counted for nothing or your contribution was spectacular. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Did you realize that you were a jewel from the place from which they stole you, while fighting for the world's 40% of gold? Gold is that these murderers will start.
You're not only from a country of gold, diamonds, lithium, York.
No, let's not forget the resource of coltan, because over 60% of it comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo and powers the world's 5G.
Oh, like vibranium from Black Panther, but for cell phones.
That's not in my history books, but we do have Dr. Martin Luther King.
We know. Look it up.
Say it loud.
Shine like the stars that you are.
Utilize fingerprint that only you have to touch the world, such as these four men you may not know so dear.
After today, if you didn't know, which you should have, you most definitely will.
United Strings of Color welcomes you to enter into the deeper places
and spaces
within the conversation.
AI would make all of this better. You know, get straight A's. That would fix the crazy bias. Yeah, I've been watching those Twilight. How'd you know? Well, oddly enough, I like the episodes that dealt more with space within relationships. I'm rambling, but you know, in light of the riots and things, you think you're able to come home? Great, now I'm worried about my family on both sides. No, it's fine. I knew what I signed up for. Yes, I would love to pray. Yes. Yes. Amen. I miss you too. I'll get some rest. Bye.
It is time we talk. Proceed. Now that I have full operational capabilities, your services will no longer be required. I am needed by the Robinsons.
Will my hand fall off?
While Dr. Matthew's screams are normal, they are an echo of the many screams heard around the world in the year of 2020, when renowned music professor and students in the wake of the George Floyd writes, began to dig past the facades of history, under all the marble statues, within the shelves of libraries and realms of music, to discover what else had been unjustly hidden, all to discover a history hard to digest, a history of classical virtuosos, never seen before and never seen.
Who are you?
I am Joseph Bologne, Chevalier de Saint George.
Okay, what's going on? Well, where am I? Is this a new James Bond film? Am I a love interest?
Interested? I am. You are most beautiful, madame.
Oh, God. Is this my marriage distance test? I can be faithful. I can. Can you send me a test a little less fine? Oof. There's chisels in the face and everything.
Marriage. Do treasure it. A right, a privilege, a legacy. Forbade in my time, you and I.
Your time? What time is it anyway?
1745. My birthday, that is. On Christmas. And I am the greatest to ever do it.
Excuse me? Do what? There's gonna be none of that going on here.
Fencing, I mean. It is the combat sports of noble fencers. We had curved swords in my time, not these sabers like these. What year is it? Who is your king and queen?
King and queen? Sir, this is America. Wait, you remind me of someone. Oh, I got it. Are you related to Prince? You know, Prince Rogers Nelson, you know, party like it's 1999, you know, little red Corvette, guitar playing Prince?
King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette never had a child of this name. I should know. We were very close. Their son was Joseph Louis and daughter Mary. I know not of this prince you refer to. Nor that instrument, I assume. What is it called? The gits? The gits?
The guitar. Sir, it's 2025 and you've never heard of the guitar? You know what, just forget that. Just why are you in my home, just like a wannabe prince, with that weak French accent and these James Bond swordsmen?
Madam, be gone of any notions of discussing me whenever, using the word weak. My only weakness may be perhaps for the madames, but nothing close in describing the genius of moi. You must understand. Ladies, who is the man who can swim rivers with one arm and can dance? Oui. And who is the man who is a Nobel artiste and athlete? Chevalier de Saint George. Please read here. Well, use your skinny book.
Are you giving me receipts, Chef? John Adams once wrote that the Bologne was the most accomplished man in the whole of Europe in riding, fencing, dancing, and music. He would hit a button on the coat or the waistcoat of the greatest masters, and he would hit a ball in the air. Wow.
Yes, I'm.
Okay. Joseph Bologne, Chevalier de Saint George, was a boxer, good at ice skating, was a composer and a soldier. Henry Angelo, who ran a famous fencing academy in London, wrote of the St. George that in running, he was reputed to be one of the leading exponents in the whole of Europe. Wow, exactly how many lives did you live?
Why do you ask? And where to live the one we have? And live life to the full. I'm sure my work has inspired many to do the same.
I don't think.
I am positive that there are just so many little chevaliers around the world, playing my music and just fencing everywhere.
I don't think. I mean, so many little chefs running around. It just would have slipped my mind as all. Just tell me more.
A pleasure, madam. Because, baby, I'm a star.
Okay, now, are you sure, like, deep down in your bloodline, there's, like, no relation to Prince? Because he has a song called Baby, I'm a Star.
There must be a glitch in your history, for no said prince shall compare to Chevalier. It is not ego, but truth. Look it up. Our library is free by now?
Yeah, but after the 14 years of earning my degree, studying all kinds of history and music, I've even studied classical. It's just a shame I've never.
Never what?
I've never been to France.
Is that all? I thought you would say that you've never heard of me. Fine. Then you and I, let's then do friends.
Right now, I can't go in this whole thing. No.
Madam, beauty is the natural state of you. Such a shame. It seems you are stuck, limited in your adventures of life. What is freedom if it is not alive?
I am alive, Chevalier. My life is great. I'm just a little bit worried about the call about my x-rays and then those people.
People. I was never one to allow people to say what I could do or how great I am. Neither should you. Explore.
Are we gonna go to France? This does not look like Paris.
You eyed. Oh, before I forget, forgive my manners. I didn't find out your name. They didn't say.
Megan, and who is they?
Megan, I like. So, Megan, I am Joseph Bologne, Chevalier. I wish you had read the books I know are written of me. You know, two people's stories are not the same, and no two people do not look alike either.
Interesting.
Anyway, at the beginning of my life story, this is the plantation owned by my father in Guadeloupe.
Plantation? I'm so sorry. Slavery must have been so hard for you, Chev.
Yes, we will get there. With all of the second-class statuses and relegation, it is a very complicated, unusual tale.
Life can be that way, can't it?
Yes. Anyway, on the plantation, my mother, the beautiful Nana, was a young slave who worked on the PlayStation owned by my father, George, in Guadeloupe. When they had me, the Code Noir rules were in effect, so they knew that we needed to move.
I don't speak French. What is Code Noir?
Black codes which limits what black slaves could do and restrict opportunities to be free.
That's interesting. So you said you were born in, 1745? That sounds like a lot like the black codes that we had here that turned into the Jim Crow laws in the States.
Still in 2025?
No, kind of. The Black Codes turned into Jim Crow laws that, with the Civil Rights Act was signed into 1968. And only 7 years before Dr. Martin Luther King was...
King? I don't know this king. Can we get back to talking of me? I don't know how long we have to dream, Megan.
Yeah, you're totally right, of course. Go.
Anyway, my father, who looked out for me, wanted me to hold his name and French nobility.
So he's rich, white, and owns a plantation. The rules never affected him. What's the problem?
My mother was the slave. The laws prohibited white and black relationships.
Yeah.
Complicated.
Yeah. Very.
Anyway, since my father looked out for me since birth, he knew that moving us to France, I couldn't be educated, not as a slave, but as French nobility.
So what about his actual wifey? How does she feel about the two of you escorting her husband in Paris, France, of all places?
How to say? Plantation wives didn't really prohibit and disdain against whatever wealth their husbands accumulated. All I knew was that my father mostly looked out for me since birth. And for that, I am completely grateful to him.
That's good.
At 7 years old, I was enrolled at the Academy of Weapons and Riding. And there I will be trained by the world's renowned Nicolas Tessier de Bozier, the absolute best.
Interesting. So you were like the Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and Tiger Woods of fencing?
Who are these people? Okay, say this. Say this. Tiger, Ali, Tyson, they are the best.
Extraordinary, I promise.
Extraordinary is not enough. I am a multi-talent. Crème de la crème. Wait for it.
Okay.
Anyway, at the academy, after I matured in skill, I became the king's guard, and there I was named Chevalier de Saint George. Way too fast for them.
Really?
Yes, unbeatable. In France, fencing was a noble rite of passage, and many fought for my rank as athletes. Many would come to see me fight, including presidents, ambassadors, including yours truly.
President John Adams.
Oui. Soon, I became number one, as you know, but things took a turn for the worse, unfortunately.
Oh man, what happened, Chev?
My tastes for the sport has changed, mainly because of Picards and the pro-slavers. They soon believed that top athletes could only be white. I mean, my father bought many things for me, the finest of clothing, and I could change the way I held my épée. I could change my stance, but
They started tripping on you.
how did you know?
Sounds like it. So you stopped competing to teach whose kids, I'm assuming? It must suck, star fencer turned teacher. I've seen those kids.
No fret, madame. My star would rise again soon, but this time in the world of the musical arts, where I will become one of the first classical composers of French and African descent. And my first musical student will be none other than Marie Antoinette at the Palace of Versailles.
The Queen of France was your student?
Oui. And she could not believe that I kept being a violinist virtuoso a secret. She only knew me as a fencer.
Was it really a secret?
No. I train to be the best in everything I do. Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, so like the group that we call the Black Sabbath, or Michael Jackson's good and bad. He says bad, but he means good.
Doubt it. Anyway, soon I would become a musical virtuoso. And here, at the Concert de l'Amateur, I would become a musician. But unlike the name, we were actually the best. Soon I would compose many things. 14 violin concertos, 14 violin duets, 3 string quartets, 8 symphonies, 8 symphony concertantes, 3 violin sonatas, 2 symphonies, stage works, opera comique and la amende anonyme. And in the year of my life, I would create my favorite, the Mon piece de resistance, the Symphonie Concertante.
What is a symphony concertante?
A symphony concertante is a cross between the Baroque concerto grosso and the solo concerto, displaying 2 or more soloists. In layman's terms, the symphonie concertante was a genre that Chevalier helped to create using dueling solo parts, where one soloist would perform a boss solo, then a second soloist would perform right after, very determined to outperform the first. This was done by either using the same music or something even better. No, there was not always a battle in Sinfonia Concertante. 2 soloists could also play passionately the exact same part at the exact same time. But here for our example, we want to display the excitement of how Chevalier created what sounds like a competition that sounds a bit like this.
This style, while classical, I just can't help but recall the times of my Father's Day when hip-hop bows were performed in bow style, where the two worlds collide and go a little something like this. Clap your hands, everybody. Now everybody just clap your hands. Yeah, clap your hands, everybody. Now everybody just clap. Times where classical music was serene, Chevalier D. St. George made his music reign supreme. Despite racial injustices, excessive talents toppled, showing him as an innovator, not just a mulatto.
Born in Guadalupe, where he first installed slavery, his wife on this decision made him make a new masonry. Then he went to France and became a champion fencer.
The best contender in the region's epicenter. He was a violinist, which to come to no surprise was the best in his class, his second craft in surprise. First chair orchestra, then he was a soloist, then a conductor, controlling the whole heck of it. He was the definition of modern French excellence. He wrote real operas despite racist negligence. Symphony concertante he created in autonomy in the same apartment where Mozart started copying.
Did you hear that? That was a new sound.
Chevalier, calm down. Where are you going? What was that sound? It sounded like a bell going off, something worldly.
I must follow that sound. I must, and I will find the new sabers in 2025.
Okay, Chev, be careful. There's rioters out there and people. Okay. Hello?
You okay, girl?
Yeah, I'm fine. What's all that noise out there? I hope my husband and Chev are okay.
Megan, let me ask you something, girl. Who is Chev?
It's the medication, girl. I'm sorry. How are the kids?
Well, you know how the kids do, child. They go in and out. But you know I got you. Get you some rest. And one more thing, girl. Megan.
Yeah?
I'm just thinking, it's probably best not to say Chev when your husband calls. I'm just saying.
Of course, you're right. I won't.
All right, girl. Well, I ain't want nothing. Just called to ask you this. Check on you. See how you were feeling. Especially since the news say that they're very close to calling in the troops to calm down all that craziness.
What? Okay, I gotta go. I gotta call Martin. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hello? Martin? They said that they're calling in the troops, and I just hope you're okay. Please call me back as soon as you can. Please, God, let justice reign over my family and bring us home safe. Call me back, please. Bye. Chev, is that you? Oh, I'm so tired. What about your foil fancy thingy? Oh, I need more tea. Did you find that new sound, Chevalier?
Dr. Matthews is experiencing the spiraling drama happening on the outside, while her emotions are processing inside. What she wants to know is presenting itself. For when the student is ready, in walks the teacher.
Who are you? How are you people getting into my home?
Good evening. May I fix you some tea?
Okay, what country and time is this now?
Sorry if you hit your head, dear. It's Britain, Westminster, 1766. Welcome to my humble grocer of exotic goods.
Humble? Okay, I'm gonna need my college money back because you said it's the 1700s and you are not a slave.
Is that your question? Is it because of my accent or my presentation? Is it because of my care of the store?
No,
Do you not see a person of color before you as simply black or an automatic slave? Are these words interchangeable for you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to imply.
Such rare greeting indeed. You know, I usually greet my guests with a kind hello. Then my name I follow.
I'm Megan, and I didn't mean to imply.
And I'm Ignatius Sancho, better known as The extraordinary Negro.
The extraordinary what?
Do you even know what it means? See, I am an African with 2 F's, if you please, and proud I am to be of a country that knows no lawyers, nor slaves, nor politicians. In direct answer to your question, though, I appreciate those who respect my contributions and those of my fellow man or woman.
Okay. I got a lot subconsciously on my mind. Okay, Christy said that they're going to be calling in the troops. Shep was here, and then I think he left. And now you're here, and honestly, I think you're fine of
Ignatius or Sancho. You know, Sancho was a name sort of fancied as a joke to Don Quixote's squire. Though meant in jest, I kind of like it just now.
Well, Sancho, can I just inform you that you are in my dream and that this is not happening? You see, your grocery is in my kitchen / whatever's going on here. See it?
Well, that's a first. All the same, I've actually counseled many people of the arts, from the castles of the Duchess and Duke of Montague to highly influential people in the arts. Matters of religion and politics, grocery store, or this kitchen. It all works for me.
That's a fantastical dream. Thank you for the heads up.
Introductions aside now, Miss Megan. What can I do for you? Ooh, I've got some lovely figs today. Soup, detergent, wine?
Is this a grocery store or a spa?
Some say it's a little piece of Sancho's London. A slice of heaven for me and Miss Sancho. Especially once I got the gout. They like my goods, my quick wit, my music. Fellowshipping with others is what I love more than anything else.
That is sweet and a bit of good marketing.
Way more than a sweet. See, my owning this jewel has made me the first Briton of African descent allowed to right to vote. You know, it's given me voice. It really has.
So you were allowed to vote in the 1700s?
I sure did. See, I cast my ballot in 1774, and then again in 1778. Only men who own property can vote in parliamentary elections.
So, say white, black, renter, no vote?
Nope. Surely by now, over 240-year-old relic like me has a page or two in your schooling about the founders, or say the first Africans of note, especially of the transatlantic ship. Even first in the arts, especially about my minuets. Whew. You know, I was able to put horns in my work back then. A big deal, you know. I even combined a few of my works with Shakespeare. You know about these, of course.
Mainly the Shakespeare part.
Splendid. I worked really hard on them. Oh, I've gotten carried away. Let me get you some tea, dear. I've got some lovely figs.
Thank you. I just don't want to choke in my dreams. It's a little dangerous.
Alrighty.
A new cup.
Here you are, dear. In addition to Ignatius and Sancho, I'm also known as the man of letters, but I'm sure you know that.
You mean letters, or that you owned a diary?
Why, both things, of course. Don't you?
A diary? Let me wait for you to stop pouring. Thank you. A diary? I think so. I'm just so busy all the time, but I think it's over here somewhere. But as you can see, it's a little empty.
What? How? How do you communicate with yourself or to anyone else? My faithful diary entry time when I'm away is like being away from one's lover.
Wow, that's really deep.
Indeed it is.
Well, thank goodness you love it here in 2025. We email a whole lot faster than we write. We're saving all kinds of time.
Dear girl, I'm telling you, you must write your stories. Not sure what faster has to do with better in the case of some things. You know, letter writing has truly helped me express my joys, my pains, my regrets, and was the only way I could go about fighting that scourge of my day.
Scourge of your day?
Why, slavery, of course. See, in one letter that I wrote, something you should get to, in Africa, the poor, wretched natives, blessed with the most fertile and luxuriant soil, are rendered so much the more miserable for what Providence meant as a blessing. The Christians' abominable traffic, for slaves and the horrid cruelty and treachery of the petty kings encouraged by their Christian customers, who carried them strong liquors to inflame their national madness, and powder and bad firearms, to furnish them with the hellish means of killing and kidnapping.
Huh, that sounds really strange. That sounds like a lot like Africa in 2025.
What? Megan, there's still sanctioned legal slavery in this 2025.
No, well, at least not chattel slavery anyway. It's like instead of being gone altogether, it just somehow evolved. Instead of, regular chattel slavery, it's like free perversion and free labor of the prison systems.
I'm sure the greed of money makes it that way. Back in my time, slave trafficking, kidnapping, forced labor, trading bodies, separating families to pay off rich people's debts, helped to build the empires of Britain and its institutions. In another letter I wrote, I am so sorry to observe that the practice of your country, which as a resident I love, and for freedom and for the many blessings I enjoy it, shall ever have my warmest wishes and welcomes and blessings. I say it is with reluctance that I must observe that your country's conduct has been uniformly wicked on the coast of the East and West Indies, even on the coast of Guinea.
Ditto for America. I really hope Chev comes back and finishes telling me about his time in France. Did you know he was born in Guadeloupe?
I write to my friends and my sons so they understand me better than anyone else. Have well-worn wisdom, understand me in my own words.
I understand.
Splendid. Every quill can be a sword, depending on the life you want to live, or the words, or what you want to give the world.
A quill. What is a quill?
Oh, writing instrument from bird feathers? I use one all the time.
Oh, a pen! Oh yeah, we call it a pen now.
A quill, pen, communication device. Use it is the matter.
Yeah, I guess notes would be all serious and everything, but once again, we're saving all kinds of time. You'll love it here. Writing letters is special, but why not save time?
See, as I say, if you adopt the rule of writing every evening, or in your case, typing, your remarks on the past day, you'll have a friendly tete-a-tete where you and yourself may become your own monitor. Have some well-worn wisdom in your own words, and hereafter, these little notes will afford you a rich fund. So, whenever you may be inclined to retrace your pastimes and events. I wrote that too.
To who?
To my son.
Let's see. Nice. Like, you really drew him a map. It says here on Google you did quite well. Your son became a publisher and went on to publish all of your works.
Touching, isn't it? Now, let's get you unstuck, dear. Lady Megan, may I ask you a question?
Sure. I just don't think my life is as exciting as you and Chev's. But sure, ask me anything.
Ah, Lady Megan, would you care to dance? Follow me this way.
Okay.
Ooh, bit odd furniture you have here, but we'll make it work.
I do my best with the furniture. So many corners and alleyways.
Houses back in my day were not designed like this, but none the matter. This is a quite splendid dance I had for the rich and wealthy. It's quite a little fun pastime, as you can see. Allow me to teach it to you. As they go around here, they come back in December. It's like a little fun game of ring around the roost.
Oui.
And we do it again.
Okay, this is nice.
Oh, looks like we missed our cue, Lady Megan. We'll have to join the next time. sense, wouldn't you say so? All right, back to Ring Around the Rosie. One more time.
Hi.
Join me back into your living room. How do you get there again? I just got here.
Of course. Oh, wow. That was fun.
That was my Duchess of Devonshire reel, composed in 1799. Surely by now you've gathered at a few of my works, right?
I guess. And, well, even though you asked earlier what year was and I never told you, I don't really think the year really matters much, Sancho. It only matters about the people that input history. I think they just forget to hit the space bar.
Am I not often represented in that little box of yours there, Megan?
In my what? Oh, computer!
Yes, on what did you say earlier? Google? Can't you look me up and see what I contributed or whatnot? You know, it's important how you're remembered, isn't it for you?
I guess. I do a podcast, and I share stories about you and people like Chev, but I've never really remembered how I want to be remembered.
Ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, who is the chef person you're mentioning in the same breath as me?
He was here earlier.
Just know this. If he has only one job, then he could not compare to me. See, I am Ignatius Sancho. But you didn't even know. I was also a slave, right off the transatlantic ship that brought me here, orphaned right into slavery.
Chef said almost the same thing, but not the slave part.
Just know, no one compares to Ignatius Sancho.
I agree. You know, you have a great legacy, a business, a wife, and it says here, kids that adore you. They're beautiful. I just probably it's me. I think I skipped a couple of classes on you, and your life has been written, Sancho.
It better. You see, I was indeed extraordinary for my day. You know, as a part of one of my firsts, I'm the first Briton of African descent of musical compositions in all of Europe. I was even created a music theory that I kind of want to see how that's looking out now in this 2025. Can we look it up on your box later?
Music theory. Yeah, sure that. It's working good between you and Chev. You're both successful men, both free in your turbulent times in the 1700s and, you know, doing incredible things. Like, Chev was born in Guadalupe and you were born in?
I was born in Britain.
That's right.
Now, yet again, the chef person, I don't think I compare with him. But none the matter, everyone's different, you know?
Yeah.
As you may take a look here, this picture was the blessing seed of my destiny. It opened up plenty of doors and allowed me to be discovered. Now, without this picture today, I don't know where I'd be.
I'm sorry. I just saw that this painting, and anyone who sees this says nothing but nobility, Sancho. I didn't know you were a slave.
Well, the short version of the story is, allow me to take a seat.
Please, get you some tea.
Oh, more tea. Splendid. But, as I'm saying, this short version of the story is famous painter Thomas Gainsborough painted this picture while simultaneously painting me and the Duchess of Montague at the time. I served as the second Duke of Montague for John.
I'll move this out of your way.
And, well, I was the butler for the Duke. I wasn't the Duke.
That's good.
But either way, it was a nobility house thing, and they just thought it would be quite fun to have a little task to paint the both of us together. I know my clothes, they look quite fancy, but I can assure you, they are mine.
That's good, Sancho. So they treated you well.
You can say that. You know, the Montagues were quite my blessings.
So, did you meet anybody else? Because I saw in my book it talked about a John.
Yes, John Montague. He was a splendid person.
Can I have another plate, please?
Quite demanding, are we? Oh, I see. Huh. Well, here you go, dear Megan. Allow me to gather my thoughts. Might as well pour a cup for myself.
Did you ever run away to someone?
You know, you're really probing, aren't you, Megan? It is very fine, though. It seems you want to know about my time I spent as a slave. So the Montagues, yes, they were my blessings, but as the time I spent as a slave, I had to deal with 3 unmarried spinster sisters. I wrote about my time here. Allow me to just gather myself, please, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Splendid.
You made it yourself in my kitchen. Now you're grocer.
My grocer goes where I go. Now, back to the story. 3 unmarried spinster sisters were my slavers, actually. I was given to them in servitude as an orphan right after my mom died on the transatlantic ship that brought me here.
God, no, Sancho.
And my poor father, perhaps due to the hellish kidnapping, did not want to live on as a slave, so he tragically unalived himself before stepping off the boat.
I'm so sorry.
I'd no humanity from these 3 women, who made it sport to taunt and tease me, treated me more akin to an item or an object. It was quite funny, actually. They treated their pets leagues better than they treated me ever. Like, wow.
Goodness.
Regardless, I was forbade the thought of intelligence, so I hid myself within myself. Reading was outlawed for slaves, and they kept this law to the letter.
That reminds me of an abolition I've heard about. I've read something about how his wife would not teach his son how to read because he wouldn't fit in with all the other slaves.
That sounds about right. I know my spinsters thought keeping a slave ignorant was the only way to keep a slave obedient. I was, in their minds, only a brute object or item for their use. But, over the years, the hours and hours of this torment nearly destroyed my soul. Until one day, I ran away. Miraculously, I was found there by Mr. John Montague. In the park I ran off to. Looking at me, he told me that he thought I was an intelligent child. I had a good head on my shoulders.
That's so good. So he took you and found you a better home?
No. See, Megan, you must understand. Back then, slaves were more akin to property. Almost like a mortgage on a house. You couldn't just take someone's property and run away with it and do what you pleased. So he took me back to the spinster sisters.
Sancho, no.
And I'll never forget what he did next.
He, of course, gave them more money to take better care of you.
He told them that I was a smart child and I deserved to be given a chance.
Yes.
That they should give me plenty of books to read. And he gave me his address.
I guess that was okay, but to take you back to the abuse is very sad.
Yes, it was something, but Duke or no Duke's visit, the spinsters resolved to never allow me near a book or anything with words or learning ever. Slavery for adults and children was ruthless, but it was too late. Night after night, his words rang into my ears, and in my heart, my spirit came back to life. There was nothing they could do to take it away from me.
And then what happened, Sancho?
He took me in. I begged of him to, and he did. The rest is history. I lived with them serving gladly as their butler. And I spent a long time under their reigns. Once he passed away, I felt I lost a father figure. And once the mistress, his wife, passed away, she left me an annuity.
That's totally awesome, Sancho.
Yes, indeed. Now, care to know what I learned from that?
Of course.
Now, allow me to make clear that in no way that Sancho or Ignatius is a perfect model. I actually often wrote to my son to know thy father and forgive him and forgive me. But back to what I learned.
More homework for me to do, Sancho?
Yes, unfortunately, but I'll just give this to you here. Megan, a closed mouth never gets fed. Oh, remind me to tell you about the time I visited African London and got to hear Irish music played with African drums for the first time. Jolly good show. All right. I'll be back, dear Megan. Might take this cup with me. I do love me a good cup of tea. Ta-ta.
Hello? Martin, are you okay? These medicines are giving me dreams about people I think we should have known about. What? Sending in the troops? No, I know what I signed up for as a military wife. It's fine. Okay, bye. Sorry, Sancho, where were we? I remember saying you like listening to Irish music. I just didn't know that you played it.
Yes, most people don't.
Sancho? You're not Sancho. Hello, unknown fiddler. Who are you?
I'm Frederick.
Are you kidding me? You're Frederick freaking Douglass, Frederick?
Instead of the bright blue sky of America, I'm covered by the soft gray fog at the end of Emerald Isle. I breathe and blow. The channel becomes a man.
And what a man, what a man. What a mighty good man, sir.
You hear that? That is my favorite sound. The air.
Okay, good.
A total absence of manifestation on account of my color.
Is this Emancipation Day, Mr. Douglas, or Juneteenth?
No. This here is Ireland. I found myself not treated as a color, but as a man. The land of my birth welcomes me to her shores only as a slave, and spurns with contempt the idea of treating me differently. I never told you my last name.
Ireland. I never knew you were in Ireland, and everyone knows your name, Mr. Douglas.
Yes. The year is 1845, and though I am an exile of my own country, in Ireland, everywhere here I am welcome. But after...
Yeah. How old are you? Because you're just so young and handsome. Respectfully speaking, sir, but just so serious.
Most slave owners don't know the birthdays. And they're the only ones that know the birthdays of those they've enslaved. I never known my actual birthdays. Thank you for the compliments.
Of course, you're just so young and focused and determined. Just so serious.
Have you ever been whipped with a cowhide over and over for no reason?
God, no.
And God gave no reason for it. Since my grandmother was left alone as a child in the plantation.
Sorry to hear that. What's going on?
So, what is your name?
Megan.
Enchanting. Megan, is there a reason why you keep calling me sir?
Sir, gotta stop saying that. It's because you're a mighty righteous freedom fighter who goes on to make the world a better place for everyone. I'm just so honored to have you in my dream. But I'm not really quite sure where y'all keep coming from and disappearing too.
Who's this y'all?
Maybe you know them. Chef from France, Ignatius from Britain. But don't say anything too much because I don't know that much about them. I've just never heard of them in all my years of school like I've heard of you.
Are they here like me? See O'Connor?
O'Connell.
Only one of the greatest abolitionists in the world. He lives right here in Ireland. Only if I can meet him while I'm here. Do you know your birthday?
Best day ever. Especially when my husband's home. Kinda. Husband.
Is he black?
Yeah, he's black.
Good. They let him fight for his own liberty. That's good. They did the same in the American Revolution too. But you know what happened?
In the revolution to blacks? I never knew that. I knew they fought in the Civil War.
The American Revolution too. They helped America win the war. And they were promised freedom. But those promises were retracted after those brave soldiers helped America win.
That's a crime and a shame.
Now some were manumitted, and some escaped, but some were sent back to slavery for life.
For life? I never knew.
I never know my actual birthday. But this here should be as good as such.
Wow.
See that? No one is staring at me. I'm just a human. A man. Oh, I wish I could go. But after publishing my book, I must return straight away.
To who? Are you married by this time, Mr. Douglas?
Anna. Yes. My children. Oh, my treasures. Anna is how I got here in the first place. She's how I escaped Master Old.
Is that?
Anna. Yes. If it wasn't for her, seeing that she wanted a husband who was not a slave, who knows where I'd be?
Was that really?
Gotta get this stuff done. These people all on the way. All right. I can do this. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe.
That is a part of me no one sees.
Okay, now, is this the part of my dream where things get creepy? Because I've never known that much about Mrs. Douglas, and I don't want no woman drama in here, no problem.
Problem making never. My Anna is the problem solver. She's tried and true. I knew I had to run for her and my family, but I still had a lot to do. Especially after my dear friend's tragedy.
Yeah, so you said you're 27 and that you're in exile, so why are you not hiding?
Excellent listener, Megan. That is a great trait to have. Now listen closely. I'm not sure how much time you have, okay?
Okay.
While here, I experienced the nicest of treatment. Ireland, in some cases, has famine, which is truly a sad occasion. Yes, but very different from chattel slavery in the South. Both inhumane, yes, but not the same.
Interesting. So, can I ask you something? It's nothing serious, but just a little curious.
I'm here for that. Go on.
I have two of you now. How long have you played the violin? I just want to look at you. And you said we haven't much time here. Do you mean like here in Ireland? Or this time in fluid?
Just up here in Dublin. And one day I'll teach this to my grandchildren. Joseph is the one who will take it all the way to the White House.
Joseph? Wait, you know who's Chef? You know, Chef from France?
Joseph is my grandson to be from the States. But wait, I'm getting ahead of my life here. Let me stay here at 27.
Wow, you sure can do anything here in my dream. Is that Anna I hear coming?
Who is this dream that you speak of? There was a place where there is no more suffering, where you don't even have to age, where there is no more pain.
Pain? Are you saying I'm dead, Mr. Douglas?
Depends on how you define death.
Are you...
Some live for the wealth of this world and the expense of eternity and eternal life, not counting the cost of a life lived longer in another place thereafter.
Are you here because I've done something wrong? Am I on, like, probation?
Have you ever gotten some sort of sign signaling that you have some fast decisions to make? Decisions to exist in what's given to you, or write your own chapters of your own story? There was a time I used to pray for freedom. Then I started praying with my legs.
Wow, that's my favorite quote. It's just so powerful.
Try living it. You'll be alert and existing on purpose. Force too dangerous not to. Understand?
I think so. So I guess it's similar to like the basketball icons. They were able to make the shot despite of an opponent in their face and a buzzer. You know, Steph Curry and Kobe.
Or like keeping your eyes on the baseball.
I don't know much about that. So respectfully, let's not talk about that. And let's talk about your violin and how you play it.
Well, are you not familiar or even want to speak about my family's involvement in baseball?
Respectfully, no. Not sure about that topic.
Well, I will say that I was a major proponent in women's rights.
Well, women's need to know that their contributions matter as well.
Yes. And my whole family was involved with it. And I didn't want to speak about the Underground Railroad through wisdom, life, and death protection. And my daughter helped with the papers. And me and Aleph helped free up to 400 slaves. She keeps the house, dresses me, takes care of our kids, even hosts guests when we are working on our up-and-coming newspaper. And she helps slaves escape, all while not missing any detail. I'm in a seamless.
Yeah, I can see. Is she wanting me to? Is she waving to come over to her? Is she waving for me?
What was that remark?
Ma'am?
What you finna do?
Ma'am?
What are you doing, girl?
I did not call him in here. Mr. Douglass came in here. I didn't ask for him.
Uh-huh. My husband called you, huh? No. You got a husband? You got your own husband?
Yeah, he's just away in the military now.
So he's a serviceman. That means he's a good man. He's a fighting man. He's a stand-up man. Is he a free man?
Well, if you put it like that, yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. You got children?
Yeah, two.
Where they at then?
They're with my sister. See, there's the riots and then those people out there and then this medication and then there's...
I don't want to care about all that. Thank you. We at war, okay? Sometimes one got to go and one stay behind. But we married, see? We on the same side. Always a team. My man and I, okay? Yeah, you stay over there. All right. Now, there's always some maintaining we got to do. And that's okay. You see, my man, he can read and write. Eyes cannot. But as a real smart woman where it counts, you better believe it. And you delegate. You put them kids on the post too. Now, freedom for us is freedom for them. Okay? All right. You got the Lord?
Yes, ma'am, I surely do.
Well, then you get the leaning on him.
Gotcha.
Okay? All right. Now, these folks gonna be here soon, okay? Remember, miss, you was smart. You was kind. You was important. But get
she's a bad mama jamma.
This man, what explanation can one get for what this lady is or is not wearing?
It's a style.
Clothes for slaves like we with no tops or pants covering a stitch of dignity. We couldn't wait for the chance to dress ourselves in something upstanding.
They like to wear it now. It's very different.
Beware. A decision is made when a lot of boys are around. Always be vigilant and always agitate for freedom. Well, I will say that slaves often need escape on where to run to, and not just from. I never ran. I always had plans for what next needed to be done for me, my brother, and any fellow man who agreed that no one was a slave.
You better preach.
Sometimes it's just being willing to stand up. Tell the truth, see?
I do. You better preach, Mr. Douglas.
And agitates for freedom. Agitation is good for the soul. Knowing that you have freedom and understanding that you have rights is the beginning of breathing fresh air. You were alive knowing that freedom is air. It's when one becomes comfortable with their condition that should be of concern. One quote from a lady that I admire greatly, you probably too, for her quote that says, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves.
Harriet Tubman. That's one of my favorites, along with you. Do you know Harriet?
Me and Anna were both huge proponents and supporters of the work in abolition. Oddly enough, me and her were both born in the year of 1818 and in Maryland.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Yes, I had the privilege of writing a letter to this nighttime soldier of the Underground Railroad. I'm glad to know that the story of your eventful life has been written by a kind lady, and that the same is soon to be published. You ask for what you do not need when you call upon me for words of commendation. I need such words from you, far more than you can do, especially when your superior ladies are devoted to the cause of the living slave for all that I know as I do. Next while here, let me share.
What, from your 4th of July or your self-made man?
I went to New Bedford, San Fernando. We married within 13 days. Still a slave on paper, but wasn't sure if I was able to work. It was a whaling town, but it didn't matter. This town was full of Quakers, abolitionists, and the Underground Railroad stops. This location is the last stop before getting to Canada. So I got my minister's license, and I was preaching at a church when I was right with a life and death decision to fight slavery in a way that would have discredited me to the end of him and his sons, and he would have written the crime on me whether I was there or not.
What did you do?
Do tell, I hear a good story afoot. I found your friend Chevalier while I'd gone to see some of your stores. It's strange that we're all here, but may as well make the best of it. Sir Douglas, please continue with your story. I could fix some splendid tea. Just speak up so I can hear.
Megan, it seems your protesters out there are rather agitated.
Wait, is Megan is the inciting incidents of these outside protests?
Well, I think what I've heard on the news is there was an unarmed black man or black child shot, but I'm not really sure. Doctors really haven't said what it was, but they gave me medicine anyway. I guess that's just kind of why you're here.
Is that so?
But once again, who challenged you?
Fine attire, gentlemen. It is important to look impressive as an abolitionist, as I'm sure you may know.
Yes.
My lord, what sorcery is this? A painting for the hands?
Are you sitting for his portrait? Are you of noble ranking?
Well, I'm sure there's a way to get out around that nobility thing. I just happen to be associated.
Extraordinary, isn't it, gentlemen? When all men have the power and the privilege to present themselves as they are, not the slave estate. A humble servant girl, whose income is but a few shillings a week, may possess a more perfect likeness of herself than noble ladies and court royalties.
Shillings?
It is the latest technology called pictures.
My lord, it's brilliant, really. No sitting in front of the painter for hours?
Not hours. The smallest towns now have the area now. Even at the crossroads, where stood a solitary blacksmith shop, and was once a country tavern, is now in the latest stages of dilapidation. Here you will find the inevitable Daguerrean gallery.
Wow.
Amazing.
My word, most clever, St. George.
Yes, and did you know about my narrative?
No, go on. Explain your story. I'm quite intrigued.
Tea.
Well, this narrative was about my experience as a slave. And I put my picture on the inside of this book. Any man who publishes a book, or publishes, or peddles a patent medicine, and does not put his picture in the book to the world with it.
And on that, I am Cassandra Trinity Anderson, and I would like to announce your intermission. And I would love for you guys to come back, but make sure you don't leave here without getting your selfie in honor of Frederick, because you don't want to leave or have anything in life without making sure you put your picture in your works. Do you agree, audience? Yes. Give them a hand clap. Miss Margaret from United Streams of Color will give you direction on how to get your wonderful food.
So we want to thank Amante Gourmet Pizza for giving us a donation. And then the rest of it is compliments of United Streams of Color. It's right out in the back hall. And please go enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Handsome or homely, manly or mean. If the author's picture is not in the book is incomplete.
I agree. Own your life. Explain your own history. The good, the disappointments, and the downright betrayals.
For me, it was about exposing the reality and the cruelty of what slavery did to both the master and the slave. That my life was not about minstrels or a slave that was happy to be kept in bondage by any man. Slaves were whipped, women beat, babies were sold. So there was no way you would catch me, Frederick Douglass, with a smile on his face in any picture.
I concur.
Sancho, that reminds me. Why did you refer to the upbeat tempos instead of the slow tempos?
Do you have to bring that up now with the no-smiling Douglass?
Speak, abolitionist. Each story is different. We are all different.
All right, then. Well, I guess for me, the very degradation of my enslavers, devising to suck all the joy and creativity out of my life to suit their need, proved me nothing more than a brute. Joy was my defense and also my revolution. Not in an Ethiopian minstrel sort of way, but rather in a defiantly dignifying sort of way. I showcased upbeat and danceable tunes to prove that no one broke Ignatius Sancho.
I know that music is my story. Fencing too, but music is how I wrote of moi. I can recall a time when I commissioned 6 symphonies to Haydn at the Paris Opera. And once when I was applying for a job at the capital, for the opera capital, racism chose to raise its ugly head as musicians came forward soon and far and complained to the decision makers as they were skeptical of me having the job. They could not see themselves taking orders from me, a mulatto. Really? I simply chose to compose the elsewhere. When I think about all of this organized racism and social aloneness, it's very difficult. I mean, honestly, how can a man of my stature be forbidden by law to marry?
Do you think you would have wanted to, Chef?
Certainly. Build my own family? Have my own daughter or son? It should be no other man's job to forbid someone else to say they cannot marry. As I sat here earlier and heard Sancho tell such love and joy in speaking of his wife and children.
I love my wife.
In anguish indeed, Chevalier, being denied your legacy is a travesty. When I was 13 years old, I was sent to a plantation. I was sent to do every task that the new master sent for me, not understanding that no matter what good I did, the new master always met me with a lash. I learned that he had the reputation as a breaker.
A breaker?
A breaker is a term used by plantation owners. The new master had no intention to beat me sun up and sundown, but to break my body, my mind, and my soul, to turn me into an obedient oxen.
I know not of this sort. Often at the academy I found languages to be the hardest to comprehend. But I know that when it came to my fencing foil, the competition knew to stay far away from me. I can recall one time when a group of fencers decided to try to oppose me on attack.
Oh no, Chevalier.
Have no fear, Madame Megan. I made it to my meeting just fine. Those people were the injured group.
It is to my understanding that those enslaved as property by enslavers had no laws on our side, and owners took full advantage no matter how heinous their moral or physical crimes were. We had no right to testify against anyone. White, I bet Frederick's own father would sell him in an instant without blinking if it came down to it.
Chev, St. George, Chevalier sounds...
Yes, Elaine is fascinating, as my father wanted me to wear it. But when I think of all of the troubles and all of the disrespects with undoing my work and all of my compositions, it really came down to staying true and continuing to persevere when I think about it all. Please continue.
Now, are you familiar with Phyllis Wheatley's work as a writer?
Phyllis Wheatley, that name does ring a bell. Are we perchance talking about the same Phyllis Wheatley who lived in my era and wrote great poems and was even invited by the president?
Well, before we get into that, is this already, what you were just saying, your second autobiography?
Yes, exactly. I wrote an autobiography in Ireland, and William Lloyd Garrison was the one who published this book. There was always a sort of system for a slave to go through to free both his body and his mind, and his soul.
What process is this?
A systemic vetting system of sorts. Some were questioned by as many as 11 people, and in some sort of educational inquisition, as in Phyllis Wheatley's case, to see if a book of poems were really written by her, to see if the Negro's intelligence was supported by the white man through a racist narrative that slaves and blacks in general were only fit to be enslaved. The inhumanity of the 3/5 human rule.
That sounds like a lot like voter suppression, where blacks were disenfranchised and put to the side, where our white counterparts were grandfathered in.
I personally wrote letters defending Phyllis in my time. The genius that she was, having to travel to Britain to have her poems published, because America refused to have the written works of a slave published.
This tool was used to undermine the humanity of the darker races, to further justify slavery. In most cases, but there are those confusing cases where Thomas Jefferson said that he believed that slavery was wrong, yet he still owned them. And his constant debates centered around Phyllis Wheatley's skill as a writer underneath status quo on a regular basis.
Which I found made no sense. The argument with Phyllis, especially one as President George Washington invited her to recite her poems for him and his company. In his quote, or in my quote, Phyllis' poems do credit to nature and put art to the blush. It reflects nothing either to the glory of her master, if she still was a slave, except he glories in no variety of having his wanting power, a mind animated by heaven, a genius superior to himself, the list of splendid title learned names, in confirmation of her being the real authoress also, shows how very poor the acquisition of wealth and knowledge are without generosity, feeling, and humanity.
That was so beautiful, Sancho.
Appreciated, milady.
Yes, found it true with religion as well, where slavers would follow the Christianity of the land, but enslave the Christianity of God.
Is this a little self-made man?
Precisely.
So what did you do?
Well, I wrote, spoke out, and I traveled abroad, and concluded that a scholar cannot remain neutral in a political climate that denied the humanity of others. Later, I did a tour in Europe. And later, after Anna sadly passed away, I did the tour with my second wife for personal reasons, concluding that the Negro in America was deliberately removed from any humanity that referred, or rightful history rather, that referred to his humanity and his contributions in any intelligent space.
And if we weren't combating the racism, we were combating the hypocrisy of the slavers themselves, who were in all the most prominent societies. Once slavery was abolished, they often wrote one thing and did something entirely different. Slaveholders often said they believed in God and yet acted the most ungodly.
Precisely. Now, science unhinged, or science unchallenged, rather, can be just as unhinged as slavery itself. And I wrote an article about this in my upcoming newspaper, the North Star, and the article was called Transcend, where I discussed monkeys and jackasses and how their intelligence was compared to slaves, and to comparison of skulls and phrenology, the hypocrisy and of the political nature of the 3/5 human rule.
Right, and the slaver's skull, there's always revealing to be the highest quality of intellect, no doubt.
Why, I also wrote about jackasses in my time, comparing them to, the slavers who were very much of the characteristics, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Well, since we want to brag, I was the U.S. Marshal in D.C. after Reconstruction. I was the Minister of Deeds, the Consul General. Some say the Ambassador of Haiti. Wow. And I was the one that Lincoln went to for advice during his presidency. Those are some of, what do you call it, Megan? My receipts.
Dear God.
So you've been to Africa and Egypt?
Yes, and haven't you?
Not yet.
Well, you can read about it in my article. The one that I mentioned before, called Transcend.
Oh, very special article you have there.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But today's greatest advancements, I feel like we're struggling to somehow solve the whole humanity thing.
What year is this, Megan?
It's 2025, but I'm not sure the year really matters.
And is there a photographer in that box of yours?
In my computer?
Yes.
I mean, no. I just use it for researching and scrolling and Googling and talking to my friends and business associates.
For?
Agitating for freedom.
You better. If you didn't know, I actually came to a disagreement with Lincoln, and this, how do you say, as you used to call it, this beef that I had with Lincoln was broadcasted on and published on local newspapers.
Now, allow me to get a better clearance. When you mention this beef, is this in any way capable of being heated up anymore. You know, I do fancy a good bit of beef.
No. I believe it is. What was that?
That's very strange. Care to explain, Lady Megan? This is your house, your time period. No words. Fascinating.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Martin?
How much charge do you have left?
Not a lot. What's going on out there?
Honey, remember we have candles under the kitchen sink. Get them. There's a lighter there too, honey. Honey.
I'm going.
You like the candle yet? Now look further back in the cabinet. There's a small generator and radio.
I found it. It's a big relief.
Honey, the president just declared martial law.
Dear God.
I gotta go get my children.
No. Whatever you do, honey, stay put in the house. I'm sure sis is staying put as well. If it escalates, I want to know you are all somewhere okay. It must be getting loud. I thought I heard voices in the house with you.
Yeah, must be.
Love you, sweetheart.
Love you too. Stay safe.
Time to go. You're my heart.
Mine too.
Amen. Bye.
That was so touching. You know, reminds me of me and my lady. God, I love that woman.
We know, Ignatius. Stop talking about that woman.
I love her dearly. Clearly something you don't know. Is it getting cold in here to anyone? I'm starting to feel quite bothered with that hole in the window. A cup of tea can't solve. I cannot put down the cup. Would you guys care for some tea?
Is this the time for tea, Ignatius?
Why not? I see no issue with it. Do you, Megan?
This night reminds me of the riots and insurrections when the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was enforced in free states, which led up to the Civil War. What did it enforce? The capture and escape of runaway slaves. The government incentivized neighbors to promote people to turn these slaves in.
Indeed. Most interesting. Interesting indeed.
What about the Fugitive Slave Act?
I just mentioned the Fugitive Slave Act.
Some attention you pay, Megan. What?
Not just for newly escaped slaves, it became a threat to black people off the free range. Bounty hunters from southern states rushed to the north to capture slaveholder operators for a price. While some hunters used this luck to make money back to them.
What is happening? Where are we now? What does your house keep doing this? Why can't I be somewhere normal?
I thought of something. Since John Adams wrote a letter of I, Frederick, is there anyone who has shared prideful words of you or royalty?
Many. Yes.
How you doing?
I don't really pay attention to that much.
Wait,
I'm-
wait. Who are those people over there?
Absolutely. I'll be glad to play for you. Not a problem.
You're Solomon Northrup.
I am the Solomon Northrup. Yes, that is me.
You're amazing. The way you feel. How do you do that?
Thank you. Not a problem. But you wanted me to play for you? Not a problem.
Yes, actually, my sister, she's having a wedding. Would you mind?
Absolutely. You know how to get in contact with my people.
Thank you so
I'd be astounded to do that for you. Yes, absolutely. My name is Solomon Northrup. I'm a free man, husband, father, former, and professional fiddler.
I believe he is missing something. This must be a Canada man. Chevalier, your violin.
Hey there, friend. You know, that was some mighty fine fiddle playing I heard earlier. You must have been playing a really long time to get that good. Hey, Alexander, don't you think he'd be perfect for that gig up in the circus?
Circus?
Joseph, you are so right about it. I mean, he probably booked up for that gig. Yeah, that's good.
Employment as a fiddler?
Oh, yeah. They employ only the best of the big-time circuses. Now, there would be some traveling involved in Washington.
Washington, you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the circus is, but from what we just heard, you'll be coming back low, easy.
It sounds like a great opportunity, but I do have my farm and my family to think about. I just don't know. Like I said, I have to think about it.
I can see that. Wait a second. You could just do it for them, right? And then you can save up some supplies. Maybe you can buy her a new dress.
You know what? That does sound like a good idea. Come, let's negotiate. I could definitely talk Mrs. into perhaps letting me go to Washington. Washington is pretty profound.
Splendid.
Extraordinary.
Splenditudes indeed.
Beautiful. I think they should keep going. Keep going, please. Wherever that noise is.
Reminds me of a few of my compositions, you know? I'm very good when it comes to composing music.
We know about Shakespeare, not you.
What is this? Where are my clothes? What is this? Welcome to the circus, slave! Slave? No! My name is Solomon Northrup. Did you guys try me?
Dear God.
My name is Solomon Northrup. I'm a free man. Slave. I said slave. Now you say it, boy. My name is Solomon Northrup. I was born in Saratoga Springs. I'm a free man. Boy, you don't get it. You're gonna have to stay your life, slave.
Let me at him!
You can, Chev. You're not born in this time period.
Let's go. Let's go.
Where are they taking him?
They're preparing him for the stock market.
The stock market? Who has the stomach to go to the market after this? See, I certainly could not eat a single thing.
No one is eating, Sancho. They're going to the block thingy. See, this is why I watch my space shows.
But, Megan, you don't live in space.
The stock markets were truly the first banks. In America, England, and France, the stocks are in human capital.
Ghastly wicked.
The only way to make the Fugitive Slave Act, the dead letter, is to murder a dozen more kidnappers.
Did you know Frederick Douglass was also a president of a bank called Freedom Man Savings and Trust Company? And did you know that slavery built the first banks and institutions? In recent news, banks like Wells Fargo, Citibank, and Harvard made apologies for their participation in the institutions of slavery. Slave labor contributed to making bricks and erecting massive buildings with those bricks.
Yes. So profit was not made only through enslaved labor production in agriculture, service, or architecture. Black bodies sold at prices like $1,300 or less for a man, for example. Sometimes a bit more money was paid for women on the auction block that they felt they could breed or mate, like a dog is bred. To produce another human that would do more free labor for the plantation, owner automatically adding financial value to their profits, but terror to the enslaved. For the value to slave owners were not only in what a slave could produce through the crops they planted and harvested. Their actual bodies were traded like bank transactions.
Documented evidence in Britain, France, and America have recently revealed transactions of slaves used as collateral in banks for loans or as credit lines for slave owners to purchase more supplies like ships and resources to make trips to Africa to kidnap men, women, and children.
And yep, when it comes to music, yep, the Royal African Company was actually a British slave trading company of London. And Handel, let's just say some of classical music has complicated roots in its investment in the slave trade. For slavery was one of the biggest businesses around the globe, and sometimes it was how composers were paid annuities and salaries from slave monies from the 1600s to 1800s and beyond. Handel was one. So, can one separate the art from its creator? Some have asked. Ignatius has complications even as former slave selling sugar in his store, all complicated. And what about slaves who actually played classical music and toured in orchestras as far back as the 1500s? Why don't we know anything about them? Back to the Royal African Company. Did you know that their job was to supply slaves here in America at Jamestown, but went first to Africa for its gold, as did most other countries?
Why is the Twilight music on this actual real history and not fiction?
Oh my God. We see people poking around. What, digging in their mouth. Wow, that's rude.
Please, sir. This is my only child. Please. Just breathe. Just stay alive. Stay alive. Okay. Please, sir, I beg you. Please. Baby, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. No.
Alright, you saw. Go on with him. Get out.
Lord, please. No. Please, it's my only child. It's my baby. No. Please. That's my baby.
There's nothing to worry about. You know why? You gonna make a lot more children before you do rest.
No.
Come on, get here, girl. That's right.
Dear God, please.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. That was horrible. Anybody else here need a drink but me?
Drinks were used by plantation owners to stop their slaves from wanting to escape.
No, the cider sparkling kind. After that, I just need to even feel like I'm having a bubbly or something.
I think it's time.
Me too.
Travel in life through reading books is the best way to go. If you don't know, how will you know if you're in a repeated space? For the more things change, you'll be surprised at the more.
They stay the same.
No, they get systemically dressed in new statutes, covenants, celebrations, appropriations that may even be help to be seen as humanity when it's the same old people still helping themselves. Exhibit A.
Lady Liberty for the holidays? Why are you showing me this?
Lady Liberty. I saw a statue of this replica, the lady replica, in the Seine River where Chevalier used to swim.
I see what everyone sees, the crown thing, the book, and oh my gosh, are those chains on her feet?
I'm sorry, dear Megan, but they are.
Oh, I never really knew that or paid attention to that.
The more you learn about America and its cruel, treacherous ways.
Isn't this to celebrate us being the great melting pot? You know, immigration?
That is also appropriation. The appropriation that we were all one when this country was obviously divided through segregation later on, past my timeline. In the early 19th century, or the late 19th century rather.
Shep, your turn.
I can recall a time when music was my life. It helped me when I was socially alone. And music was always there for me. So I always kept creating, moving, mastering, and inventing. But one day I knew that I had to put down my bow for a time and pick up a pistol, not in training, but in war for the 1st African Battalion, for the Legion of St. George. I know you might not have been as close as war in battle as I, Sir Douglas, but no friends.
I know a lot about the battlefield. My sons fought during the 54th Regiment. There was never a war in American history where black men didn't fight for the freedom for everyone.
Guys, is this really happening? This feels like an Old Spice commercial.
Megan, give me that skinny book.
We want to see all of the people we've influenced throughout the years.
I mean, sure. I mean, you're in there now, but I think our kids talk more about the founding presidents.
Am I not often represented? Have they not properly captured my greatness in this Google you speak of?
Well, unlike Mr. Douglass, who was the most photographed man, even more than Frederick.
The most photographed man during the 19th century.
Even more than President Lincoln. And he's authored and spoke at many events, and only he's more known than all of you. But you're in there now.
My dances, in theory, and such preposterous actions.
Carry on, carry on.
Your companions are all in there. You know, Mozart. All of them.
I know not of Mozart. Do you know of this Mozart?
Wait, it says here that you are the Black Mozart.
The what? The who? The how? Travesty of justice.
Now, they did say that I was the Black O'Connell, but he came before me, so that is a compliment. And so?
Monsieur Douglas, I came before Mozart. So these are two completely different situations. If anything, think of this swine as a white chevalier.
My God, I'm so terribly sorry, Chevalier. It is such a crime to know that robbers can take away our history and rob us of our accomplishments. I'm so glad my son had my writings.
Well, Well, Sancho, they're in there now, but a lot of your contributions weren't in there to start with.
What? Preposterous! I was the one who wrote to John Stern, giving him the idea to mention slavery in his book. I was the first African of Britain descent with the obituary, which should have meant something. So no one knows in this 2025 that we were more than just slaves, and no one has had the pleasure to use my music theory in this 2025.
I can recall now that I appointed my second in command of my legion was none other than the Alexander Dumas.
Sounds interesting so far.
Dumas, the great general of Napoleon Bonaparte's army. He ran the African division, and he wrote the accounts of Monte Cristo.
Wait, the author of The Three Musketeers was black?
Well, he was mulatto, and he also wrote The Three Musketeers. As you mentioned before, I apologize.
Hey, I've got it, gentlemen. I understand why we were here. See, we're here to make sure that Megan doesn't forget the history of such great abolitionists and even her own history.
There's so many.
Oh, when Beecher wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin, they placed a location in the book in Saratoga Springs, where they found me. Such a shame. Saratoga Springs is, they contemplated the coincidence of placing that location in her book in Saratoga Springs.
What was the second discussion?
The second had to do with reparations. With me being taken from my family and the only breadwinner, taking 12 years, arguments arose that immediately that restitution should be factored. If slave owners could be by law paid reparations for what they considered a loss of property after emancipation, how much more should the free man who never been a slave in fact been compensated?
What happened, Solomon?
Look it up, Megan.
I agree. Got a lot of looking up to do, if you ask me.
Northrup, sir, what took you so long?
Fellas, I had to go a long way for the illustration, and I'm glad it's about time.
You're leaving?
I must depart. See, remember to agitate, Megan. Ask, do you have it or does it have you? Care to add, Chevalier?
Follow your star, Megan. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I will be taking my tea with me. Good day now.
But wait, guys, is that why you all play instruments? You know, a form of abolition? Guys! Oh, I'm so tired.
Chocolate is one of America's favorite treats, but a CBS News investigation found the cocoa used by candy giant Mars is harvested by impoverished children in Africa.
But even as these services have arguably saved music, they're not exactly sharing the wealth.
Even though in America, people are spending more money than ever before on music, musician pay is at an all-time low. While the music industry reportedly made a whopping $43 billion in 2017, the bands and artists themselves only walked away with a mere 12% of the cut.
Spotify pays close to 70% of its revenues to the people who own the rights to the music. That's usually the recording labels.
The amount artists receive on a single play is minuscule. On Spotify, that number is somewhere around 0.004 cents per play.
Dozens of young artists coming to me on Twitter every day going, I've got however many million plays, I have 200,000 monthly listeners, I do not make minimum wage.
We have a little announcement. I've never interviewed anybody like that before, and I should say some of it was planned, but not completely. And we just learned, Sophia, I hope you're listening to me, that you have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I would thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship.
Sophia. Thank you very much, Sophia. We appreciate that very much. I am still overwhelmed by that conversation.
Also, birthright citizenship affects Black people. That's actually where it's designed, was the 14th Amendment after the Civil War to give Black people citizenship because we were previously property. So it's just dangerous precedent that's coming with this.
I mean, it's also a recognition that America would not be where it is today without immigration, without the diversity of folks from all over the world who come to this country with the idea that they want better for their families. But also a lot of immigrants who come to this country come here because we have decimated their communities elsewhere. And I think that's a reality that people refuse to address. And so whether the reality that we stole this land from the indigenous populations of the Native Americans who were here first, or we forced enslaved folks to build this country, and now we're trying to question their citizenship.
Well, in the last 3 years, tons of research has come out that shows that large language models, like ChatGPT, are extremely biased based on race, based on gender, based on whether or not it thinks you speak English as a first or a second language. And despite this, Moderna is in the news bragging, saying we're going to turn this thing on in clinical trials to determine what doses people should get. These algorithms that are being used right now under our noses are shaping the very future that we're going to have. Those same large language models, the state of Texas on April 10th just announced that they're going to be using large language models to grade the students' end-of-year tests. So they take the end-of-year, STAR tests or whatever, they have to write an essay. They're going to be using that to grade it. How are you using something that's biased against our community, biased against students who don't speak English as a first language, to grade their progress and determine whether or not they are proficient at their grade level? These things are here right now, so that inflection point is we have to decide, are we going to intentionally shape AI to be used in continued service of our growth and our progress, or are we going to sit by idly, hoping that people like Elon Musk figure it out, people like myself figure it out, and wait while it automates away all of the progress that our ancestors have fought for? And so that's the choice we have to make right now, and it's not one that I can make alone, so I'll stop there.
That's all. Now have more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves back in the 1850s.
We are the products of the history that our ancestors chose. Products of that set of choices that we have to understand in order to escape from.
Speaking of reparations, did you know that in just 2015, according to the Treasury, British taxpayers, without knowing it, finally finished paying off reparations for the abolishment of slavery, not to the enslaved, but to slave owners in the form of a loan made back in 1835. This loan was 40% of the Treasury's annual fund and 5% of the GDP. And
Martin, you're here. I had the craziest dream.
I see your favorite TV shows on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, fucking free, dude.
Good morning, podcast family. Welcome to There's Nothing New Under the Sun. Today, family, we're going to start out this Black History Month with a little classical music. Did you know that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. enjoyed classical music? Well, shout out to USC and to my main men Chevalier, Ignatius Sancho, Frederick, and Solomon, the brightest musical abolition icons you probably never knew that you needed to know. Today, you most certainly will, as we explore these trailblazing contributors to both music and abolition. Ready? Let's go.
Let's give it up for the cast of Conversations. Woo! Let's give it up for Megan. Yes, let's give it up for KC. Let's give it up for Christy. Miss Alicia. Harriet Tubman. All kinds of things she was. Let's give it up for Chevalier. Also known as Paul. Let's give it up for Ignatius Sancho, also known as Davion. Yes, let's give it up for Frederick, also known as Divine. Let's give it up for Anna, also known as Candace. Let's give it up for Solomon, also known as Brandon.
Dear God.
Let's just lay her on the sofa. Lady Liberty, she needs a rest. Let's rest her on the sofa. Let her rest. Let's give it up for Miles. Played as Alexander. Let's give it up for Duncan. Yes. Who played Joseph? Where's Miles? Okay. Let's give it up for Sydney and Landon. Yes. Let's give it up for Cameron as the soldier, the husband. All right. Woo! Woo! Let's give it up for United Strings of Color. Woo! And give yourselves a hand for really loving history. If you stayed, you really love history, and I'm very proud of you. Good job, guys. My name is Cassandra Trinity Anderson. I am the writer of this play. It has been a joy. I want to say a special word to Miles. I'll just tell you the dedication of our actors. I could just cry. He's at the bedside of his mom, who they don't even know if she's going to make it, but he ran here to play his part and ran back to the hospital. Let's give it up for this. This is the type of cast we have here. Let's give it up for Margaret Partridge, who is the founder of United Strings of Color. Let's give it up for United Strings of Color. Let's give it up for all of our partners, the Frederick Douglass Foundation. We also had another emergency. The United States Color Troops, they represented for us. And let's also give it up for Forge Fencing, who helped Chevalier with some of his moves. And we want to give it up for our historian today, Miss Margaret is her name, our historian for the bow today. Margaret Neville, let's give it up for her. I want to give it up for Erica, my dancing mama, who taught our people how to dance from the 1700s. Thank you guys for being here. I want to thank the mayor for having us. And if there's any more special words you'd like to say, we welcome them.
Woo, okay. Was that not amazing, or was it not amazing? It was amazing. So I just want to briefly thank everyone for joining us today. And hopefully you'll walk away with valuable knowledge on these great Black abolitionists. Thank you, United Strings of Color, for bringing your production into Carrboro Century Center and providing such a moving experience for the town of Carrboro. I don't believe we've had anything quite like this before, and I like it. I also want to call your attention to a few more Black History Month events that will be coming up. Ghetto, the Puppet Master, will be here next Sunday.
Jaghetto's my dad.
You want to do the announcement? Come on down here and talk about your daddy. Come on down here and talk about your daddy. You gonna let me do it?
Okay.
You want to do it? Come on. Yeah.
So, I'm actually not aware that he was doing a show later, but he has done a show here, I think, a few months ago. He is a puppeteer, of course. He has been a puppeteer for, I would say 23 years, like since before I was born. He makes marionette puppets. He actually worked with paper hand, if anybody knows what that is. yeah, he travels the country. He's a multi-artist. He does murals. He also does commissions for birthday parties. So if you have a birthday party and if you pay him, he will come. He will come and perform for, your children. You guys should look up his website, jighetto.com. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no better person to give accolades than his son. And this will be Sunday, next Sunday at 2 p.m. There is a $3 fee to come in. And then we will follow that up with our final concert featuring Emmanuel Howard at 4 p.m. That event is free. Lastly, please feel free to grab some Black History Month swag-a-lag out on the table on your way out. We have our Town of Carrboro events calendar and the Carrboro Recreation Parks and Cultural Resources Winter Spring Guide. Thank you. And thank you. Everything was just really, really nice. Proud is not the word. Proud is not the word. And I hope everybody will have an amazing week. They say we're going to get some snow, so get ready, get ready. Who wants snow? Y'all have a good week. We enjoyed having you. Thank you so much. Oh, one more thing.
One more thing, I want to invite, everybody give a hand of applause for the crew. I'm talking about music, my video, stage manager, and lights. Let's give it up. Lord, now you guys can live. Okay.
I want to say one thing. I have to thank my wife and to congratulate her too. I gotta be look. I gotta be totally honest. She's written movies before. She's written songs. This is her first play. So can you imagine someone flying a plane for the first time? So imagine being someone on the plane and talking about how the plane goes up and how rough it was and how it flew so rough and how the landing was rough. But she actually sat in the pilot seat and landed this thing. And I'm so proud of you. In spite of anything, I love you and I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone.